The screaming started at exactly 8:17 a.m. The moment Bethany Kruger realized her pristine white Mercedes was being dragged away by a tow truck while half the neighborhood watched, phones already recording every humiliating second. Just 3 hours earlier, this same woman had taken a crowbar to my brand-new 2024 Camaro SS in Rally Red, a car I'd poured 2 years of overtime and every last penny of my divorce settlement into. The sickening crunch of shattered safety glass, the deep metallic scrape tearing through paint I'd babied like it was my child, $40,000 of hard-earned dreams reduced to glittering shards scattered across my driveway. But what that self-appointed HOA tyrant didn't know was that while she was busy destroying my car, I was quietly dismantling her entire criminal empire. Bank records, forged invoices, shell companies, embezzled community funds. I had it all. In exactly 12 minutes, the police would arrive to place her under arrest for felony fraud and related charges. What would you do if a power-drunk neighbor deliberately destroyed everything you'd rebuilt your life around? Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know how far this story of justice travels, because what happened next changed our entire community forever. Let me take you back to how this nightmare began. My name is Darius. 6 months earlier, I was just a 52-year-old electrician in suburban Dallas, trying to piece my life together after the worst year imaginable. Recently divorced, ex-wife took the house, the dog, half my retirement. After everything was split down the middle, I scraped together enough to buy a modest ranch-style home in Willowbrook Estates. One of those perfectly manicured cookie-cutter neighborhoods where every lawn is identical and everyone pretends to be best friends. I thought it would finally be peaceful. I was wrong. The first thing I did with the little money I had left was buy my dream car, that 2024 Camaro SS. Every drive home felt like therapy, windows down, fresh leather mixing with Texas summer heat, that 455 horsepower V8 rumbling like controlled thunder. For the first time since signing divorce papers, I felt like myself again. That feeling lasted exactly 3 days. Enter Bethany Kruger, our neighborhood's unchallenged dictator for 6 years. Picture a woman who looks factory-made for suburbia. Perfectly styled blonde bob that never moved, business casual outfits worth more than my mortgage payment, and a white Mercedes C-Class she treated like a religious relic. Her house sat at the end of the cul-de-sac like a monument to ego. Biggest lot, most ostentatious landscaping, lawns so perfect it looked like it was vacuumed daily. The harassment started immediately. Day 4 of my new home, I found a citation in my mailbox. My black mailbox violated aesthetic standards. It needed to be brown for neighborhood harmony. Replacement cost me $89 for a piece of metal that did the exact same job. Then came the lawn violations. Every Tuesday morning, another fine shoved into my mailbox like clockwork. Grass 3/4 of an inch too tall, $25. Oil stain from my work truck on the driveway, $50. Garden hose not coiled properly, another $25. I could feel her watching from her kitchen window, arms crossed, that smug little smile, saying she was enjoying every second of my discomfort. But when she targeted my Camaro, the war truly began. At my first HOA board meeting, in a fluorescent-lit community center that smelled of stale coffee and disinfectant, she announced with absolute authority, "That vehicle is inappropriate for our community standards. Sports cars project an undesirable image." She handed me a $200 fine and threatened to lien on my property if I didn't remedy the situation. That night, I stayed up until 3 a.m., reading every page of the covenants, cross-referencing parking rules with enforcement procedures. What I found made my blood boil. She was selectively enforcing rules that didn't even exist in the documents. I returned to the next meeting armed with evidence. Presented it calmly, logically. Bethany listened like a predator watching prey bleed out. When I finished, she leaned back and said, "Some people just don't understand that rules exist for a reason, Darius. Perhaps you'd be happier in a different type of neighborhood." The racial undertone hung in the air like smoke. The board voted 4-1 to uphold every citation. That's when I realized this wasn't about aesthetics or parking. It was about power, control, and putting the new, undesirable resident in his place. Bethany Kruger had declared war on the wrong man. 1 week later, I walked out to find deep, deliberate scratches running the full length of my Camaro's driver's side. Jagged gouges cut down to bare metal. Not random vandalism. Surgical. Calculated. I called the police. Officer Martinez took the report with zero enthusiasm. Probably kids, he said. No witnesses, no cameras, nothing they could do. Repair estimate, $2,800. Insurance deductible wouldn't touch it. But Bethany had just made her first fatal mistake. She underestimated a divorced electrician with nothing left to lose, 20 years of troubleshooting experience, and far too much time on his hands. That evening, while installing motion sensor lights for a client, I got a text from my 73-year-old neighbor Martha Hensley. Sharpest eyes in the neighborhood. Can you come over? Need to tell you something important. In her lavender-scented living room, she whispered, trembling, I saw who scratched your car. It was around midnight. Bethy's boy, Trevor. 17-year-old, skulking around my driveway with something metal, looking guilty. I asked if she'd testify. Her face crumpled. I can't, honey. She'll destroy me. She told me about neighbors who questioned Bethany, sudden violations, anonymous complaints, insurance cancellations, for sale signs appearing weeks later. The pattern was clear. Bethany eliminated threats by making life unbearable until people fled. Unlike them, I wasn't running. I bought the best dashcam system Best Buy sold. Front and rear, motion-activated, night vision, cloud backup. Installed it myself over the weekend, wiring it with professional precision. Every camera invisible from the street, capturing my driveway in 4K. Legal in Texas as long as they don't point in a neighbor's windows. Bethany's next move came Monday. A code enforcement officer named Brad Kruger, probably a cousin, showed up claiming my cameras violated privacy. I walked him around the property. Everything pointed to my own vehicles. He left empty-handed, but promised to monitor the situation. That afternoon, Martha called again, voice shaking. There's more. 3 families moved out in 2 years after she targeted them. Same playbook. Microscopic violations, anonymous complaints, insurance issues. And the previous treasurer, Edgar Williams, he questioned expenses before he left. She buried him under fake roof violations. 3 contractors said they were complete fabrications. My electrician brain started connecting dots. This wasn't just power tripping. She was covering up something big. 3 nights later, at 2:17 a.m., my phone lit up with motion alerts. I opened the feed, expecting a raccoon. Instead, there was Bethany Kruger herself, crouched beside my Camaro like a suburban gremlin, using a landscaping edger from the community shed to carve deep lines into my rear quarter panel. Her manicured nails gripped the handle. Her $200 athleisure outfit glowed under streetlight, that gaudy 3-carat wedding ring glinting with every deliberate gouge. She was smiling, actually enjoying it. I want to charge outside and stop her. But my divorce lawyer's voice rang in my head. Emotion destroys evidence. Document everything. Let them hang themselves. I recorded the felony in real time. The next day, she sent a certified emergency violation notice. My aftermarket exhaust violated noise ordinances. Car had to be returned to factory specs or towed within 48 hours at my expense. She was trying to steal my car through paperwork after failing to destroy it physically. That evening, Martha arrived with a bombshell. Edgar Williams is back in town. He's been waiting years for someone like you. We met Edgar at a dingy coffee shop outside the city. Skeletal, mid-60s, hands trembling as he opened a thick folder. She didn't just steal. She's been running a sophisticated embezzlement scheme for 3 years. Fake invoices, shell companies, equipment that never existed. At least $45,000, probably more. Every landscaping contract funneled through a company in her maiden name. Payments match her Mercedes payments perfectly. He tried to expose her before, police report, attorney general, local news. That's when the real harassment began. Fake roof repairs, insurance cancellations, foundation issues that didn't exist. She'd weaponized the entire suburban system. City inspectors, insurance companies, contractors, to crush dissent and protect her theft. Edgar slid me the full evidence package: bank statements, forged invoices, correspondence. I kept copies of everything. I've been waiting for someone strong enough to finish what I started. That night, I spread it all across my kitchen table. Tomorrow she expected my car gone. Instead, I was about to detonate her world. The next morning I sat on my porch with black coffee, watching Officer Rodriguez arrive to photograph the new damage. I handed him printouts of the 2:17 a.m. footage, Bethany in crystal clear infrared, ring glinting, smiling while she vandalized. Before he could respond, Bethany appeared in a cream business suit, portfolio in hand, crocodile tears ready. "Officer, thank heavens. I've been terrified of this troubled resident. He's been surveilling my property, making veiled threats." She showed photos of me doing normal things, checking mail, washing my car, framed as stalking behavior. Claimed she feared for her safety as a woman living alone. Rodriguez looked skeptical. I stayed calm. "Officer, I appreciate Mrs. Kruger's concern for safety. That's exactly why I installed cameras, to protect everyone from vandalism." I smiled politely. "I'm sure we can resolve this like civilized adults." Bethany's scripted victim act faltered. Rodriguez filed a report, but said without willing witnesses, it was civil. Maybe we should work it out before lawyers got involved. After he left, she lingered, expecting me to crack. I just walked inside and closed the door. That evening, the real breakthrough arrived. Rico Crawford, owner of the towing company the HOA used, showed up at the banker's box. His company had performed legitimate tows for the HOA, all signed by Bethany, but never paid. $3,800 owed. Worse, HOA bank statements showed monthly checks cut to Crawford Towing Solutions, a company registered under Bethany's sister, Rebecca Morrison, with a P.O. box address. They've been using Rico's reputation to steal from the community while stiffing him. Rico Dagdipe. Total embezzlement: over $75,000 in 3 years. Fake landscaping, security services, equipment purchases. Plus insurance fraud. Filing false reports to cancel coverage on opponents' homes. She turned the HOA into a criminal enterprise, financing her lifestyle while terrorizing anyone who got close to the truth. We built the case like a military operation. Allies gathered: Martha, Edgar, exiled residents Helen and James. Attorney Sarah Kim, HOA corruption specialist, called it the most comprehensive documentation I've ever seen. Federal racketeering territory. We had video of vandalism, financial records, witness statements, insurance fraud proof. Rico's unpaid invoices created an automatic lien on Bethany's Mercedes. The plan: coordinated confrontation the morning her 48-hour ultimatum expired. At 6:30 a.m., Rico's tow truck waited on the public street. Bethany emerged in a white bathrobe, saw it, panicked, speed-dialed board members. Emergency meeting in her living room. Shouting. Lawyers mentioned. At 7:15, she marched out in a business suit, heels crunching dew. "Move this truck immediately. You're trespassing." Rico stepped out calmly. "Mom, imparte legali. I'm here to collect $3,800 in unpaid invoices, all signed by you. But your HOA paid Crawford Towing Solutions. Know anything about that?" Color drained from her face. Officer Rodriguez arrived, her 911 call. She switched to victim mode again. Rico handed over the full documentation package. Then Martha, Edgar, and others approached with more evidence: embezzlement, fraud, harassment. Rodriguez's face shifted from bored to serious. "Dispatch, I need detectives and federal investigators here immediately. Evidence of mail fraud, embezzlement, racketeering." Bethany tried calling the mayor, got politely brushed off. Her board members arrived and immediately started throwing her under the bus. "I never saw those invoices." She said the treasurer handled everything independently. Channel 8 News van pulled up. Lisa Martinez stepped out with our evidence folder. "Mrs. Kruger, comment on allegations you embezzled over $75,000 while terrorizing residents." Bethany grabbed their microphone, climbed her porch railing, tried a desperate speech about coordinated attack on community values. I took the mic from her trembling hands, calmly laid out the evidence to the crowd and cameras. $75,000 stolen, insurance fraud, fake companies, video of her vandalizing my car. Victims stepped forward one by one. Martha, Edgar, Helen, sharing how she destroyed their lives to cover her crimes. Federal agents stepped up with handcuffs and a warrant. Bethany Morrison Kruger, you're under arrest for mail fraud, conspiracy, embezzlement, and racketeering. As she was led away, Rico's tow truck lifted her beloved Mercedes off the ground. The crowd erupted in applause that echoed for blocks. 6 months later, the neighborhood is transformed. Kids play in the street again. Neighbors wave and talk. Bethany got 3 years federal prison, 5 years probation, $127,000 restitution. Her house sold at auction. Proceeds renovated common areas and funded a legal defense fund. New board, transparent, live stream meetings, online financials, community input required. Edgar is treasurer, implemented ironclad audits. Martha's writing a book. Rico's business boomed. Sarah Kim's case set precedents nationwide. State passed the Willowbrook Act, annual transparency, background checks for board members. We now hold an annual Community Freedom Festival, food, music, homeowner rights education. The Scholarship Fund helps low-income families fight abusive HOAs. My Camaro is fully restored, gleaming in the driveway like a reminder. Sometimes David doesn't just beat Goliath, he inspires an army. If you're dealing with an HOA tyrant, share your story below. Our network is growing. Ordinary people fighting corruption and winning every week. Thanks for watching HOA Stories. Like, comment where you're from, subscribe for more care and chaos and neighborhood justice.